The alarm began as a soft chime, polite, almost apologetic. Then the numbers updated, and the polite chime became a full-spectrum, system-wide scream. Inside the Galactic Concord's Astronomical Threat Observatory, analysts lunged from their seats as the holographic projection flared to life. A single spike towered over the map, so tall it punctured the top limits of the display. Gravitational displacement is increasing. By the void, that's not natural. Recalibrate the sensors. They're already recalibrated. Across the tiered chamber, every species present, from the frilled Valshar to the towering Rimrock brutes, felt their throats tighten. Gravity didn't behave this way. Mass didn't behave this way. Not unless. Is it a black hole? Someone whispered. No, replied senior astrophysicist Kirill, her voice barely audible. If it were a black hole forming, we wouldn't be alive to discuss it. This is something artificial. That single word froze the room. Artificial. Engineered. Created. The hologram expanded, rendering the origin point, a small, blue-white star system on the outer arm. Nothing remarkable. No empires, no warlords, no anomalies. Except for one inhabited world. Magnify the source, Kirill ordered. The map zoomed in, and several jaws dropped simultaneously. It's coming from the Sol system. Someone cursed. Another whispered a prayer. A few simply stared, numb. Because everyone knew what lived there. Humans. Upstarts. Rebels. Survivors. The species that had gone from irrelevant to inconvenient to troublesome. Their technology was years behind the Concord's average, at least officially. Their ships were crude but stubborn. Their courage bordered on reckless stupidity. And their refusal to bend to the greater galactic structure had annoyed empire after empire. But this gravitational anomaly was beyond any known science. This must be some mistake, Director Varn hissed. Humanity is incapable of generating this level of power. They were incapable, Kirill corrected softly. Until right now. As fear built in the room like static, the readings surged again, this time accompanied by a second phenomenon, a mass registering larger than an orbital station cluster. It's moving, an analyst breathed. Something that big is moving. Varn's voice cracked for the first time in his career. Moving out of Earth's orbit? The display confirmed it. A gargantuan, artificial object, easily the size of a small moon, was rising from humanity's homeworld like a Leviathan breaching the surface of a cosmic ocean. And still accelerating. All conversation in the chamber collapsed into silence, as if every throat had been constricted at once. Then came the final blow. Structural composition, Kirill whispered as data streamed in. It's reinforced titanium lattice hullwork, reactive plating, internal fusion clusters, and oh no. What? Varn demanded. She swallowed. Hard. It's weaponized. The chamber erupted. Impossible. That size? Weaponized. Who authorized humanity to build such a thing? As if the Concord had any authority on Earth. Amid the chaos, the hologram displayed the object in clearer form. Not a station. Not a habitat. Not a scientific array. A warship. A moving fortress. A supercarrier on a scale no empire had ever dared to attempt. The first clear image finally resolved, an angular silhouette stretching over 50 kilometers long, its hull layered with glowing fault lines of power. A name embossed across its prow. A name that struck like a spear through the heart of every watcher. HTSS Leviathan. Silence returned, this time colder. This is a doomsday construct, Varn whispered. Why would humanity build such a thing? Someone from the back spoke the answer. Because we forced them to. Because the Concord spent decades treating humans as lesser. Because border conflicts were always one-sided. Because every time humans asked for equal standing, the galaxy told them to kneel. And humanity never knelt. Now, something vast and terrible had risen above their world, and the galaxy could only watch. Send a diplomatic probe, Varn ordered at last. Demand an explanation. But Director, what if they refuse? Varn stared at the name on the colossal hull. Then may every star have mercy on us, he whispered. Because humanity has clearly run out. The Leviathan did not launch so much as it ascended. Even from orbit, the spectacle was terrifyingly beautiful, Earth's clouds tearing away in spiraling vortices as engines the size of skyscrapers ignited in perfect synchronization. The Supercarrier climbed slowly at first, like a mountain deciding to move. And then it accelerated. Inside the command spire, a black cathedral of steel, glass, and humming reactor conduits, Admiral Mara Cade stood with her hands clasped behind her back. She watched the tactical displays as the ship broke through the thermosphere, shedding heat like a newborn star. Her face betrayed nothing. The bridge officers around her, however, struggled to maintain composure. Primary reactors stable. Output at 107%. Gravcore cycling. All rings aligned. We're holding the distortion to within projected tolerances. Mara nodded. Prepare for first phase transit. The officer swallowed. Yes, Admiral. Initiating. A low vibration rolled through the deck. So deep, so heavy, it felt like gravity itself reconsidering its loyalties. The room darkened as the Leviathan's internal structures adapted to the power being drawn. The holograms flickered and reshaped, and through the forward viewport, space bent. Not warp, not jump, bent. Mara allowed herself a small breath. Decades of secrecy. Entire cities built underground. Budget reports falsified for generations. 1,000 failed prototypes, and 1,000 dead engineers whose names would never be known. All culminating in this moment. Navigation, she said softly. What is our status? The navigator stared at the readings in disbelief. Admiral, we're not in normal space anymore. Perfect. Humanity had never been forbidden from research. Only from warship construction. Only from fleets larger than defense screens. Only from weapons exceeding Concord-approved limit. So humanity changed the rules. They created a ship that didn't need to travel through space in any conventional sense. A ship that could bend the medium around itself like cloth. A ship that could outrun detection, outrun pursuit, outrun fear itself. A Leviathan. Admiral, the communications officer called. Incoming transmission. Concord diplomatic channel. Priority Alpha. Mara suppressed a smirk. Right on time. Put it through. A hologram snapped into existence. Director Varn, looking like someone who had spent the last 12 hours inhaling bad news. Behind him, Concord staff were scrambling, arguing, panicking. Mara didn't blame them. Admiral Cade, Varn began, voice clip. The Concord seeks clarification. You are in possession of an unregistered, unsanctioned megastructure of military classification. You will power down immediately and prepare for board. Director, Mara interrupted, calm as still water, if you finish that sentence, this ship will interpret it as hostile intent. He froze. Interpret? You mean it has a... Yes, Mara said simply. An interpretation protocol. You see, Director, when you build something this big, you don't steer it. You negotiate with it. As if on cue, the lights pulsed. The Leviathan acknowledged the conversation. Varn's face drained of color. Admiral, humanity was forbidden from building weapons of this scale. Mara's voice hardened. No, Director. Humanity was forbidden from building warships that fit your definitions. The Leviathan does not fit any known classification. It is our ark, our fortress, our guardian, and if necessary. Her eyes locked on his. Our answer. There it was, the moment she'd been waiting for. Fear. Real fear, undiluted, primal, unmasked, spread across Varn's diplomatic facade. Admiral Cade, he said carefully, the Concord requests transparency. What is the purpose of this Leviathan-Class vessel? Mara turned slightly as the viewport shutters opened, revealing the vast expanse of folded, shimmering knot space outside. The stars bent like molten silver as the ship drifted through dimensions no one else knew existed. She spoke without looking at him. "The purpose of the Leviathan," she said slowly, "is to make sure humanity never kneels again. Not to you. Not to anyone." Varn said nothing. Transmission terminated, the comms officer announced. Silence settled across the bridge. Then Mara gave the order that would change the path of human history. "Helm, take us deeper into the fold. It's time the galaxy learns what we've built." The Leviathan responded, not with sound but with motion. Reality twisted. The ship vanished. The galaxy trembled. The Leviathan re-emerged from the fold like a god forcing its way into mortal reality. Space rippled before it, distorted, luminous, as though the void itself were struggling to contain the ship. When the distortion collapsed, stars snapped back into clarity, and a new system spread beneath the Supercarrier's shadow. The Dominion's stronghold of Vaskr 9. One of the most heavily defended military outposts in the known galaxy. But to the Leviathan, it looked small. Admiral Mara Cade stood at the observation deck as the first sensors stabilized. The bridge lights were low by design. The ship preferred dim environments, and though no one admitted it aloud, the crew had begun adapting to the Leviathan's preferences as if it were a living thing. "System scan complete," said Lieutenant Reese. His voice shook despite his attempt at calm professionalism. "Admiral, we have 12 Dominion warhives, 2 planetary defense grids, and a fully armed capital fortress. They're all powering weapons." The crew tensed. Mara didn't. This was the moment. "Communications," she said. "Open a wideband channel." A dozen alien commanders answered at once, some enraged, others terrified. Voices clashed, hissing and growling through the comm. "Human vessel, you are trespassing. Identify your structure immediately. Withdraw or face extermination. We have authority from the Concord to fire." Mara waited until the noise died down, then spoke, steady, cool, unwavering. "This is Admiral Mara Cade of Earth. I am here to deliver a message." Silence. Then a deep, resonant voice answered, the Dominion's warlord prime, Korth Vaskr himself. "A message," he snarled. "You bring a planet-sized weapon into our domain for diplomacy?" "No," Mara replied. "For clarity." Before the Dominion could respond, the Leviathan acted. Not violently, not aggressively, but unmistakably. A cyclopean ring along its dorsal spine rotated, aligning with gravitational streams only the ship could perceive. The space around the Supercarrier compressed, forming a shimmering halo, an impossibly dense gravitational well held perfectly stable by the ship's internal architecture. Every Dominion sensor lit up. Every Dominion ship froze. Every Dominion commander felt it. The Leviathan was not preparing to fire. It was demonstrating control over a force powerful enough to shred planet. Warlord Vaskr's voice changed instantly. Not angry. Not confident. Uneasy. "Human vessel. What is your purpose here?" Mara didn't smile. But she wanted to. "Our scans show the Dominion has begun deploying weapons platforms in territories adjacent to human space. We warned you this expansion was unacceptable. You ignored us." "We do not answer to humanity," Vaskr spat. "You will." The Leviathan's halo tightened. Just slightly. And the Dominion's entire fleet creaked under the stress. Armor groaning, shields flickering, reactors screaming as gravity pressed down on them like a collapsing star. No shot fired. No weapon launched. Just pressure. Controlled. Precise. Terrifying. "Admiral," whispered Lieutenant Reese. "We're holding them in place." "Exactly," Mara said softly. "We're not here to destroy the Dominion." Her eyes narrowed. "We're here to show them what we could do." Across the bridge, the crew watched the enemy fleet immobilized, hundreds of thousands of warriors trapped, helpless. Vaskr's voice returned, strained and trembling. "Human, release us." "I will," Mara said. "After you answer one question." A long pause. Ask. Mara stepped closer to the speaker array, her voice a cold blade. Do you understand now that humanity is not prey? Silence. Yes. Good. She nodded to the Leviathan. She didn't issue a command. The ship already knew. The gravity field released. Dominion ships lurched back into normal physics, alarms blaring across their deck. Deliver this message to your Concord masters, Mara said. Humanity is done waiting. We do not seek war, but if pushed. She glanced out at the system, now trembling under the Leviathan's presence. The galaxy will learn what we have become. Transmission terminated. The Leviathan drifted silently, its presence alone rewriting the balance of power. Mara exhaled. Helm, she said. Prepare for second phase transit. Our work isn't finished. And as the Supercarrier folded space around itself once more, the Dominion fleet remained frozen in awe and terror. They had witnessed the impossible, and survived only because humanity permitted it. Word of the encounter at Vasker 9 did not spread. It detonated. Within hours, every major political bloc, criminal syndicate, mercenary union, and scientific enclave in the galaxy had received the same encrypted data. Sensor logs, telemetry, gravity wave recordings, visual feeds of a human-made supercarrier manipulating spacetime like clay. The Dominion tried to suppress the leak. They failed spectacularly, because the galaxy had seen something it could not rationalize. A ship the size of a small moon folding gravity into a cage. And Earth, quiet, patient Earth, was the one controlling it. The Council of Seven, Emergency Conclave. 7 alien leaders hovered above a holographic table, their faces pale or dimmed or tensed in species-specific fear. This cannot be a human creation, rasped Vecthorn of the Acurians. It violates everything, every known engineering law. And yet, replied Starseer Illyrin, it exists. We have the recordings. A projection ignited, showing the Leviathan emerging from the fold, dwarfing the Dominion fortress. Its massive dorsal ring spun, gravity bowing around it like a star was being born. The chamber fell silent. Even the machine's monitoring stress levels paused. This is the end, whispered the Silith Prime. If humans command such power, then we must negotiate, Illyrin interrupted sharply. Before they decide, negotiation is optional. But not all agreed. General Karud of the Vrak Empire slammed a clawed fist onto the hollow table. No. We strike first. If humanity believes this monstrosity grants them dominance, they will expand. They will take. They will consume. The table shimmered, replaying the moment the Leviathan immobilized 12 Dominion warhives with gravitational pressure alone. Karud's voice faltered. We simply need a plan. There was no plan. There was only fear. And the understanding, deep, instinctual, that a new apex predator had appeared in the political ecosystem. Earth, the hidden war room. Back on Earth, deep below the Pacific Defense Cradle, Admiral Mara Cade stepped into the strategic command chamber. A globe of holographic galaxies spun overhead, red markers blinking across half the sectors. Transmission intercepts? Mara asked. Massive, replied Commander Ely Vance. Everyone's panicking. The Council, the Dominion, fringe warlords. They're all scrambling for an answer. Let them scramble, Mara said. The Leviathan did exactly what it was designed for. Ely exhaled. Intimidation. Mara shook her head. Revelation. She gestured toward the star map. Humanity never sought conquest. But every major galactic faction pushed, threatened, manipulated, or attacked. They assumed we were small, weak, contained. She pointed at the glowing Leviathan icon. That illusion is dead. The Dominion, Warlord Vasker's reckoning. Warlord Korth Vasker stood in the ruins of his command chamber, shattered by the gravitational event. His officers avoided his gaze. They will come again, he muttered. The humans, that ship. A young Kryvan strategist swallowed hard. What shall we do, warlord? For the first time in his brutal career, Vasker spoke the truth. We cannot fight them. He paced slowly. We cannot run from them. He lowered his mandibles, trembling. And we cannot anger them ever again. The Leviathan, unstoppable advance. Meanwhile, far beyond friendly space, the Leviathan drifted in fold preparation. The dorsal ring warmed, humming as it manipulated gravitational constant. Lieutenant Reese approached Admiral Mara quietly. "Ma'am, the next jump target, it's Concord space." Mara nodded. Their leaders orchestrated the weapons buildup. They believed humanity would bow. Reese hesitated. And now, Mara's voice lowered. Now they learn what their arrogance has birthed. The Leviathan's hull rippled with dark light as its engines aligned on a distant, forbidden star system. For centuries, Mara said, the galaxy has treated humanity like an unintended accident. She placed her hand on the Leviathan's central interface column, warm, almost alive. But now, she watched the fold open before them, a swirling abyss of power only the Leviathan could safely tame. Now they treat us as what we truly are. The ship entered the fold, space twisting violently behind it. A warning, a reckoning, a message written in gravitational fire. Humanity was done being underestimated. The fold parted like a wound torn into reality, and the Leviathan slid out, silent, colossal, undeniable. Before it lay the Concord Prime system, the seat of the oldest multi-species alliance in the galaxy. Its jewel was the shimmering world Oort, one wrapped in orbital rings, quantum cannon platforms, and fleets that rivaled small empires. To the galaxy it was untouchable. To the Leviathan it was simply a target. The panic on Oort, the sky turns black. High above Oortha's capital spires, automated sensors shriek. The orbital arrays lit up with warnings no one had ever seen before. Gravity field detected. Source unknown. Power estimate. Catastrophic. Millions looked up as the heavens dimmed, not from shadow, but from space itself bending. The Leviathan descended. A single vessel, yet larger than the orbital rings. Dark metal plates rippled with shifting gravitational seams. Its colossal dorsal ring rotated slowly, deliberately. The planet trembled from the sheer proximity. Inside the Concord Council chamber, alarms wailed. Counselor Virex shrieked, "It's here! The human monster! This cannot be allowed, activate every defense." "No," whispered Elder Thalos, sinking into his chair. "We are already within its reach." And he was right. The Leviathan speaks. A message broadcast to the galaxy. A transmission pulsed out across every band of communication, military, civilian, encrypted, even biological resonance channels. A woman appeared. Admiral Mara Cade. Her expression was calm, cold, carved from absolute conviction. "This is Admiral Cade of the Terran Leviathan-Class. To the Concord, to the Dominion, and to every listening system across the galaxy." She paused. "You forced humanity's hand." The Council flinched as the Leviathan shifted, gravity waves rippling like a heartbeat. "For centuries, you pushed us, threatened us, controlled what we could build, where we could travel, how we could defend ourselves. You treated Earth as a junior species, something to command, restrict, or punish." She leaned closer. "You assumed we were harmless because we chose peace." Her eyes hardened. "You mistook restraint for weakness." Across the galaxy, entire starports fell silent. Markets froze. Pirate clans, warlords, and empires listened in paralyzed stillness. Today, the Leviathan arrives not to conquer, but to reveal a new order. The strike. One shot ends an empire. The Leviathan's dorsal ring accelerated. The Concord panicked. "Fire everything!" screamed General Cotter, mandibles clacking in terror. Orbital cannons unleashed beams of superheated plasma. Dreadnoughts fired antimatter shells. Planetary cannons roared. Each shot arced harmlessly around the Leviathan, bent by invisible gravitational hands. Admiral Mara gave a single command. Demonstration shot. No casualties. The Leviathan fired. Not a beam. Not a missile. Not a projectile. But a precise gravitational implosion, targeted at the empty space above Oort. For one impossible moment, a miniature black hole flickered into existence, warping light, swallowing the Concord's most powerful defensive satellites into dust. No debris. No explosion. Just absence. Silence spread like frost. The Concord Council stared upward in absolute terror. The surrender, a new galactic doctrine. Elder Thalos fell to his knees. We surrender. In full. Humanity dictates terms. No, Mara replied, her voice echoing across their chamber as holograms formed around them. Humanity does not want your worlds, or your citizens, or your resources. She raised one hand. What we want is simple. Her voice sharpened like a blade. No more chains. No more restrictions. No more councils deciding Earth's fate. The gravity around the planet dissipated. The Leviathan dimmed, lowering its weapon systems. Humanity will stand as an equal, no longer controlled, no longer contained. You will respect our sovereignty. Every Concord leader bowed. Not from diplomacy. From survival. A new age begins. As the Leviathan rose back into orbit, citizens across Oort watched in awe rather than fear. A single human ship had rewritten galactic politics without firing on a single life. Lieutenant Reese approached Mara. So, it's done. Mara watched the starfield as the Leviathan prepared to re-enter the fold. No, she said softly. It's begun. The fold opened, swallowing the Leviathan in shimmering light. And the message echoed through the cosmos. Humanity had spoken. The galaxy listened. And everything changed.